This is Joe Jackson. Cool Breeze is the funky sound of the underground. Can you dig it?
Hello, good afternoon, Toronto. The Cool Breeze is here at Radioregent. Good afternoon, Toronto. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Joe Jackson to Radioregent on the Cool Breeze Experience Show. My name is Curtis Anthony. Welcome. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. We're going to talk about your evolution, your vision, your mission, and your spirituality of your music. But before we get into the meat of things, how have you been, Joe?
I've been good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you.
Right.
Thanks for taking the time from your busy schedule
My pleasure.
to come down here, and we're going to talk about your passion of your music and those great stories.
Let's do it.
It's organic and we keep it real, you know. What's a normal day outside of music for you?
Just doing regular things with work and my daughter. You know what I mean?
Okay.
She's keeping me occupied most of the time with her business.
Right.
But it's basically just taking care of family and outside of music. But music is my love.
Yeah, I hear you. Tell the fans from a historical perspective, how did you get started with the music business?
I got started at a very young age. Started playing in drums and bugle cords back when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
And from that, it elevated into playing in bands and stuff like that, marching bands.
Okay.
And moved on to doing music with my high school friends.
Okay.
Started out with them, and then eventually we started opening shows for a lot of celebrities down in Florida.
Oh.
Like during that time, as I was mentioning, a lot of bands from the north, professional bands like Temptations, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Dramatics, Stylistics, they couldn't come to Florida without the proper union card. So in that sense, they would hire bands from Florida or somewhere south of the Mason-Dixon line to perform with their groups, right? To bring them to concerts in the South.
Okay.
And that kind of evolved to my band being very popular at the time because we were doing all these concerts for all these different artists. And then we would also do nightclubs and stuff like that on weekends, which was very lucrative for us because we got to have our cake and eat it too, more or less.
Yeah, you don't get better than that.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun growing up.
Which city you from originally?
I'm from Orlando, Florida. Sanford, Florida, actually, but it's right next to Orlando.
I love Orlando.
Yeah,
I got some people down there, and it's just great. That part of the state.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes. Where did your love and passion for music come from, and how did that influence your style as a musician?
I think that my love for music actually came from the Beatles. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Because when I was in grade school, in 65, 64, something like that, when they came here with all their music and everything, I was into that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think that I got into it from that point.
Right.
Because it was funny. We did a Beatles show at my school, at my grade school. Right. And I was Ringo Starr. So I've always wanted to be a drummer.
Yes,
right?
he was a great drummer.
So.
What would you say the one thing more than any other that accounts for your success? Talent, luck, charm, hard work, passion?
What is the most success in music?
Yeah.
I think it's just hard work. You know what I mean? You got to put the time in. You know what I mean? You got to put the time in to be successful at anything.
Right on.
And trust me, I put in a lot of years in this business.
Right.
You know, so I think that I'm advanced as far as being a drummer and a musician.
Right.
I'm right where I want to be. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Now tell the fans, what was it like playing with those Motown super heavyweights? Take us there.
It was. I can't describe it. I can't explain it because it was so surreal.
Right.
I mean, to be on stage, be opening for all these artists, and have them to come on stage and perform. I just can't wrap my head around it. How significant that was to us and the fellas I was playing with.
Right.
Then when we come off the stage, we were jittery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were nervous, so nervous that we just didn't want to make a mistake for them. You know what I mean? Because we know that making a mistake for them made them look bad and made us look bad as well.
Right, so you want to keep it getting correct.
So we were
Come clean.
we were definitely on point as far as trying to be precise and on time with their hits. But it was very good experience for us as musicians.
Great. For those of us who's just tuning in to Radio Regent, Joe Jackson, drummer, musician, is in with the Cool Breeze Experience show as we speak. Joe, tell us, what's the difference between a studio drummer and one who tours with the band playing live?
A studio drummer is, I think, has more, is more critical in what he plays than a drummer playing live, because you can't do so much in the studio. I mean, you can do a lot more in the studio than nowadays than it used to be, but back then studio drummers had to be like a drum machine.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Timing is
have to be right on point with everything, and you had to be precise.
Right.
A live drummer can be more creative,
right,
and use more cymbals,
okay,
right? But in the studio, you couldn't use as many crashes and stuff like that. You can only do that live, right?
Nice.
Because you don't want to interrupt what's going on with the other music,
right,
as much.
Right. Tell us some of the other bands you were affiliated with.
Locally or
locally
or professionally?
And professionally. Yeah.
Professionally, I've also worked with KC, Sunshine Band.
Great guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we started out, the band I was with, we started out with him writing his original music in the beginning of his career. And we wrote a lot of his songs.
He was deadly.
Yeah,
deadly.
we put down tracks, demos they call it, where we put down tracks just for him to get ideas on most of the stuff that he was creating. He had lyrics and stuff like that, but he had no idea of how the music was gonna go.
Yeah.
So he used my band Society from Florida to help him create these ideas, and so we did that for a couple of years.
Right.
And then we did a couple of nightclubs with him down in Miami, trying to see how people reacted to some of these songs.
Right.
And then he just dropped us like a wet rag. All of a sudden, we were out of the picture, and he was moving on. But that was an experience for us to know that. Because we didn't think at the time that we had to get anything in writing.
Right.
We wasn't about that. We was just about music. But we didn't get nothing in writing, and the rest is history. You know, with him, you know.
Yeah. No, Joe, I've seen many musical documentaries.
Right.
Motown had their sound.
Right.
They had Motown, they had the funky sound, they had that rock song of Philadelphia. Chicago had the song. LA, California had the sound.
Right.
And everybody, New York. But it blew me away. Miami had their sound that was sort of hidden in the background. Nobody talked about that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw Anthony Bourdain covered a little bit of that because with food, and they talk about that Miami sound, that calypso groove that came up from Florida. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, Miami, they had a studio down there called Criteria, and I think that was one of the best studios in the world. I mean, as far as technology and everything else. I've been to New York, the studio up there. I think the name of it now, Sire, I think it was.
Okay.
And worked there before too as well. Did Star Search there, a recording for Star Search.
Right.
And but Criteria they were so innovative in their sound and everything, and it was a very good studio to do music in, because they were willing to let you be creative.
Yeah.
They didn't try to force you to do one thing one way or another. They was interested in whatever you had created and just enhancing that, right? Because a lot of studios will try to direct you in the direction to go.
Yes.
But they wasn't about that. They was about your direction.
Yes.
You know, and just helping you create that direction and enhance your direction.
Right.
And I thought that was a great move for them to do back then. And I think they're still around. I'm not even sure. I've been gone for about 30 years from that area.
And they always said, do not confuse Miami sound with the Miami Sound Machine. There was a bigger sound before that. There was KC and the Sunshine Band, Betty Wright, the TK,
I worked with Betty Wright
TK
too.
Records, T Connection type, that calypso, that Latin mix, everything. That it was just incredible. But Miami stamped this.
Yeah, I think they got a few studios now in Miami, which has really grown. But Criteria is one of the first to get everything started. Yeah.
Okay, I'm wondering, Joe, is there a time you and your instrument are alone, and tell us about that intimacy?
Actually, not too many times. I don't do a lot of practicing on my drums. I should, you know what I mean? But if I can think of it, I can play it.
Okay.
That's the way I am. If it comes in my head, it's going to come on the
naturally.
It's going to relate to the drums.
Okay.
You know, I should do more practicing on my drums, but I just don't. I don't have the time actually at home.
Right.
I have 4 drum sets, and not one of them is set up in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got 2 electronic sets and 2 acoustic sets.
Yes.
And none of them are set up.
Because when I went to see Jerome Tucker last Sunday at the Linsmore Tavern.
Right.
And a couple of guys, I had him on my show, and I had Mark Daniels. Right. And then I said, who is this drummer? I got to get this cat in. Right. You know, so Joe Jackson, and I tried to find you on social media, and the other Joe Jackson keep up.
No, I'm not. I'm not into advertising or pushing myself as much as I am pushing the band.
Okay.
I believe that it's a team thing with the bands. I don't want to be singled out as being this or that. I'm all about the team. And right now my team is Prime Time.
Okay.
You know, that's
Prime Time, okay. Yeah. Great. Is there anything in your musical journey, Joe, that helps keep you grounded and humble?
Yeah, my family.
Nice.
My family keeps me grounded more than anything else. And my daughter, for one thing, and I have kids from my first marriage too, that are both talented in their own right. I have a son down in Orlando who's a songwriter, a rap artist. He produces rap artists out of Orlando.
Okay.
And he's pretty good too, and he plays every instrument.
What's his name?
His name is Chris Jackson.
Chris Jackson.
Yeah, Slim P they call him.
Slim P, good stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us some of your milestones in your musical career. Excuse me.
I would have to say, well, we had a Michael Jackson tribute a few years back after Michael passed away that I think was a highlight for me in my career. I really enjoyed doing the music. I love Michael's music, and just to perform his music in the way that we were doing it, I think was fabulous. We had a really tight band, and dancers was phenomenal, and the show was one of the best I've seen. You know what I mean? I've been on a lot of shows, and I've been a lot of places. I've been all over the world playing. You name a country, I've been there, right? Okay. But it was really nice to tour Canada and perform in all the casinos that we did doing this show, and to me, that was a big highlight for me in my career.
Wow.
Even all the shows, concerts I've done backing other people and everything else, to do something that was more, because I started the band, so it was kind of my creation in the beginning, right? So I felt really comfortable with having that, you know what I mean, that honor to produce a show so fantastic.
Right. Joe, when you're performing, large gig, small, medium, and you get that electrical energy, support from the crowd, and that mystical, magical moment of music. Take us there.
I don't know if it's mystical, but magical has to come from the other players that I'm with, because I feed off of everybody else. Right? And we feed off each other. Right? So we make the moments, fantastic for all of us when we perform. You know, anybody I'm performing with. I'm always listening to everybody else perform. Right? Because I think that a drummer has to be in tune with everything that's going on around him. Right? So if you can listen to what everybody else is playing, they're listening to you as well. You know, the drummer's always the one that everybody listens to. But the drummers don't really think that they gotta listen to everybody else. But I'm listening to everything on stage, whether it's vocals, music, and I think that keeps the magic in tune, right? In context, you know.
And Jerome Tucker told me when he was on the show last, he says, he always get locked in with the drummer. And they talk to each other because they got to keep that rhythm tight. And once that's set up, all the instruments.
And Jerome and I, you know what I mean, we locked in a couple of times, and I can tell he was listening to me, and of course I'm listening to him, right? So when he does some things, I hear him do something one time. The next time he does it, I'm right there with him, because I'm anticipating he's going to do that lick again, right? So when I hit that lick with him, he looks around at me and goes, yeah, you know what I mean, not knowing that I heard it the first time, you know what I mean? And I knew him the next time around, he's going to do that or something like that, right? That comes to listening and knowing your instrument.
Okay. Joe, if you've been around the music scene, if you could change one thing about the music industry, what would that be?
I think this record sales and stuff has really killed the music industry with the downloading and stuff like that. If I could change anything about it, I'd go back to the way it used to be, where you had to buy your music,
Yes.
because it only helps the artist.
Right.
Right now, with the downloading and everything, artists are not making any money. They have to make money in concerts
Yes.
and performances.
Right.
Plus, record sales, they're not getting anything, and that's a drag, and that should be changed, I
Right.
think.
Right on. What musical collaborations fascinate you?
Musical collaborations.
Artists you said, man, I wish I could have played with this guy.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna see them tomorrow.
Oh yeah, they're in
It's
town
just-
tomorrow.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I heard. I wish I could make it too, but I'm busy tomorrow. But they've always been my, anytime I record something or write something, I'm always thinking. They were always in the back of my mind.
I hear you. Nice. Jerome, what was your big break, turning point that accelerated your growth?
It might have been playing in the college band.
Okay.
Because there I learned how to stay uniform with other drummers in high school band as well.
Right.
Because you have to, when you got 16, 18 drummers playing together, and you go off a little bit, it shows.
Okay.
So that's where I get my timing from as well. I
Right.
mean, you got to stay on point with those guys, and they got to stay on point with you. So it's almost becomes a point where you're not even thinking about it.
Yes.
And it's just naturally happening.
Okay.
And you feed off each other that way.
Okay.
And that's the way I've always tried to deal with my music as well.
Okay. When you're recording, performing, and writing music,
Right.
who, what, why you use for inspiration to drive your music?
Well, like I said, Earth, Wind, and Fire always
You see,
drives me as
you-
far as creativity.
Right.
But I like to think that I'm doing something or creating something that later on down the road somebody would say, "Wow, that was nice what he did there," right?
Yeah.
And I try to always envision myself as being innovative when I write.
Right.
Because I want to try to create something that's never been heard, because everybody always says everything recorded already been done.
Right.
So you try to want to create something that you think that nobody's never heard before,
Yeah.
or never heard in that way.
Right.
So you got to try to keep an open mind
Right on.
when you're recording.
Right on. Joe, I'm going to ask you the amount of innovators that move the presence and style of the drums into higher levels of
Right.
creativity is astounding.
Right.
I love bass and I love drum, but
Right.
when you listen to guys like Joe Jones,
Right.
Kenny Clark, Max Roach, Philly Joe Jones, Art Blakey, Elvin Jones, Tony Williams, Shelly Manne, Billy Cobham, Alphonse Moujon, Steve Gadd, Bernard Purdy, Ronald
Yeah.
Shannon Jackson, Tony Allen, Jack DeJohnette, Dave Weckl,
Yeah.
John Robinson from Chaka Khan and Rufus,
Yeah.
Manu Katché, Calvin Rogers, Garen Harrison. Who is your drummer coming up?
Bernard Purdy.
Yeah.
Bernard Purdy.
Why Bernard?
Well, for one thing, I did he was at a music store in Orlando
Okay.
back in 74,
Yeah.
75, somewhere in there. And he asked the drummer, he did what they call a showcase, where they come in and just, give pointers to drummers and
Yeah.
do a little excursion.
Right.
So he had 2 drum sets up there, and I walked in late because I came from Tampa to see the show, to
Okay.
see him.
All right.
So I walked in late.
Mhm.
As soon as I walk in, he said, "I need a drummer up here to play some licks with me." And everybody in the room turned around and looked at me. I was standing back in the room. Everybody turned around and looked at me and goes, "Joe," and I didn't even know all these drummers knew me. I had no idea. The drum is full of drummers. So I went up on stage with him and sat down, and he'd do a lick, and then asked me to do a lick, and that was the most fun I've had playing with Bernard Purdy. And
Yeah.
afterward we talked,
Right.
but I've always liked his drumming
Right.
with the brothers Johnson. He did some drumming with Michael as well.
Okay.
But he played with the Beatles as well, and that was
Okay.
when I found out that, I really liked him a lot, because I was into their style of music. But it's funny to say that I was into the Beatles, but I
Wow.
was.
But it's good.
But,
It's great. You like
but
what you
I like
like.
Bernard Purdy. I
Yeah.
really like his style, and I like his hi-hat work. To me, there's nobody better. As smooth as he is, right?
Right.
And he's still going.
Right.
Yeah.
tell me, these drum kits, I see you playing a Pearl drum kit.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see, what's the difference between a Pearl song as opposed to a Yamaha Gretsch or Evans UV1?
It's the wood in the drums
Okay.
to get a warmer sound. I like Pearl because it's a drum set you can use anywhere all the time.
With any music?
Yeah, with any music.
Okay.
Yamaha is good for recording, I think.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
Which I have a Yamaha set for recording, but
Okay.
a Pearl to me is an everyday usable drum set. You know, and
Okay.
I like the tone of the one that I'm
Tone,
using.
yeah.
I like the tones that I'm getting. I change the heads quite often, but the wood is very warm. I love the sound.
I mean,
Without micing them,
Yes.
they even sound good.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
They
I
sound
heard
good.
Tony Allen, the African drummer,
Yeah.
and he had 32 styles of drumming, like
Yeah.
an octopus. It just blew me away. And
Yeah.
that sound, like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to play an instrument
Mm-hmm.
and sing at the same time?
Now that's a good question because
Thank you.
a lot of drummers can't play and sing.
Okay.
When I first started out, I wasn't a singer. I was
Okay.
just a drummer because the group I was in had singers. Everybody in the band sang,
Right.
so I didn't need to sing.
Okay.
But I wanted to.
Right.
You know, it was always a point to where I always wanted to add something in the harmony, but it was always covered.
Right.
So I used to sing in the background without a microphone, and then they said, we're going to give you a mic, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
just to cover stuff. So I just started singing bass lines because the harmonies was all there.
Mhm.
And so I had to get used to it. I had to do it all the time because I'm singing bass, so it wasn't there all the time, right?
Right.
But I just started doing it self-consciously, and then it grew into me being able to play. I didn't have to think about it, you know what I mean? Play and sing at the same time.
Right.
And now it got to the point now it's like second nature. I don't even think about it. Just do harmonies or whatever, you know.
Uh-huh.
I like to do harmonies more than lead vocals.
Okay. Joe, is there anything in music you wish you would have done? But
Yeah,
Like
I
to
wish I
accomplish.
had recorded more original music in my younger days.
Okay.
Because when we first came up, the band I was with, Society from Florida, we wasn't into doing originals. We
Okay.
just wasn't. I mean, that wasn't. We was always into doing the covers. We was
Yeah.
covering. If somebody had an album came out, we was doing the whole album.
Right.
Before the hits even hit the record store or the radio.
Okay.
We was doing the hits from the album because we would pick songs from the album that we thought were going to be hits, and we were doing them.
Right.
And that's how we got discovered by all these different managers and stuff came out of Motown and in Philadelphia. They heard us doing these covers and doing them so well, then they hired us to back their groups coming down south.
Yeah.
But I wish I had wrote more music and recorded more music on my own. Right.
All
That's
right.
that's one thing that I hate that I didn't do.
Okay. Joe, you walking down the street one day,
Right.
and a young cat comes to you, Mr. Joe Jackson, in the music, I want to make it on the music scene. How would you inspire that person?
Don't give up on the dream.
Okay.
You know, they have a dream. They want to do music.
Yeah.
You know, don't give up on that. Encourage them to just keep striving forward with that dream and music, because the sky's the limit what you can do in music.
Okay.
You know, if you got the even if you don't have the know-how, you can teach yourself to play. Also, you can get teachers to teach you.
All right.
But you gotta conquer that quest.
Right. Joe, what's your favorite city or venue you've played in?
My favorite, that's a good question because I got so many. I would have to say New York.
Yeah.
I played at the Apollo Theater once, and that was probably
Big time.
that was the experience that it'll never. It's like implanted in my brain. We did an amateur hour there, amateur night.
Got to prove yourself.
Yeah, what happened was we were back in the Temptations down in Florida, and Melvin, the bass singer, invited us to come to Apollo Theater and compete in amateur hour because he thought we were good enough. And we said we can't afford that, so he chartered a bus to bring us from Orlando to
Right.
New York City. We came and we competed, and we competed at this group called Change,
Oh yes. I
and
remember Change.
that was with Luther Vandross.
Yes.
So they beat us out because we didn't have anybody in the audience, because the audience participation. They
Yes.
asked the audience, "What do you think about this band?" Right?
Yeah.
So we tied with them the first week,
Okay.
which is amazing for us
Right.
because they were from New York and we had nobody there. So I thought we did pretty good just to tie to them. So we had to come back the next week and perform, which we couldn't afford to
Yeah.
because that bus was taking us back on Tuesday. Right? Anyway, so we went back home, and then our parents and friends and everybody chipped in money and brought us back for the second week.
All right.
So we went back, we competed again, and we lost out. But that experience, because the second week when we went back, the Temptations also performed, right, on stage, and and they wanted us to back them up because we had backed them before down there.
Right.
But their management wouldn't let us do it because they had their own band that was there to perform with them. But they mentioned to the audience that we were their backup band in Florida,
good.
and
Nice. Nice.
but that didn't help us in the wins anyways. But it was an experience, and we got to meet Luther before he made it, and then we were good friends with Luther even after he made it. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, we were tight.
Joe, tell us about the importance of a musical education and the business acumen of the music side.
I mean, music education is very, very. You have to have the knowledge, especially just being a keyboard player, a guitar player. You got to know your music. You got to know the theory of music.
Right.
Right. For drummers, you got to know timing, and you got to know syncopation.
Yes.
Right. I think that learning music, you have to be knowledgeable enough to know when to play and when not to play.
Right.
Right. That's a big point where a lot of musicians just play over everything.
Okay.
Right. But you got to be knowledgeable and listen around you and know what to do, when to do it.
Right.
I think it'll help a lot of musicians to play with each other if they get that in their head, right? Because a lot of people come out of college and everything, and all they want to do is play.
Yes.
They got the chops,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Just want to just
Play.
play up and down the scale, you know what I mean? But sometimes you have to listen to what's around you to better yourself and the group you're playing with.
Well said. Joe Jackson, where can your music be purchased?
I don't have any music to be purchased
Okay.
right now, but my singer does,
Yes.
and so we're going to interview
You
her,
heard.
and she'll tell you all about that.
Yes. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook.
Facebook.
I'm on Instagram.
All right.
You know, I'm not flying up under the radar.
Right.
But I'm out there for anybody can find me. They know where to get in
Joe,
touch.
any last things you want to get out there? Before we conclude?
Yeah.
Go
Just
ahead.
I just want to mention because I know my daughter's listening. She's gonna ask
Shout
me
outs.
why I'm not saying it, but
Get it out there.
my daughter has a balloon business. It's called Primetime Balloons,
Yeah.
and it's creating and design balloons and stuff like that. She has a website you can go to and check it out, and she's very enthusiastic about what she's doing, and she's getting very busy.
Right.
And I just want to give a shout out to primetimeballoons.com.
All right. Joe, tell me when you first walked into Radio Regent today, into the studio with the Cool Breeze Experience. What was your impression?
My impression was I like the setup here.
Yeah.
I like everything you guys are doing, and now with your recording studio and everything, I think the future is bright for Radio Regent and Cool Breeze.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying my time here in the interview. I really appreciate you interviewing me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you for stopping by Radio Regent on the Cool Breeze Experience Show. Come see us again.
I will.
Thank you for showing your love to our city
Yes,
at
sir.
Radio Regent broadcast facilities, which manifest in our greatness.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
All right,
It's
Cool
been a
Breeze.
pleasure. Yes.
This is Tanya Saki,
And Joe Jackson.
and you are listening to Radio Regent.